Cam Ward has been a blessing to Miami football. I am 22 years old. I've been a Hurricane fan for 14 years, and this is the best season that I've been alive to witness. I'm not as old as a lot of you OG Hurricane fans that are like 30, 40, 50 years old. So y'all can remember the glory days. I can. I gotta go relive them off replays and VHS tapes. And this is the best season that I've seen out of Miami football since that year they won 10 games with Mark Richt at the helm. And I believe this is going to be a very special season for Miami, with Cam Ward potentially winning the Heisman, the possibility of not only winning the ACC championship, but also competing for a national championship as well. Miami's good enough to win it all, but after watching Miami beat Duke, which they beat them by a pretty considerable margin, but it was a ball game at one point. They did have to come back from down 11 at one point in this game. And just watching it showed me that Cam Ward is the only reason you should trust Miami this year, because he's a generational player. Guys like Cam Ward don't grow on trees. You may be able to get another good transfer portal quarterback, but you're never going to find somebody as good as what Cam Ward is, because he's just a generational talent. His calmness and crucial moments of the game, how good he is at maneuvering inside the pocket. He's not just somebody that's rolling around, running around. He got really good footwork inside the pocket. He knows when to step up, when pressure's coming off the edge, and he also knows how to step out of the pocket without having to run around and cause chaos to do so. And he's going to be a really good quarterback at the next level. Mario Cristobal, once he leaves, I don't believe that Miami's going to have the same success under him without Cam Ward. And a lot of Hurricane fans are going to feel like I'm hating on Mario Cristobal, but I wouldn't say I'm hating on Mario. I more so would say that I'm really skeptical about Mario Cristobal, because before Miami got Cam Ward, this program was struggling. And the biggest Achilles heel with Mario Cristobal has been that he's never been able to recruit and develop a quarterback on his own. When he got to Oregon, he inherited Justin Herbert from Willie Taggart. And when Herbert left for the draft, they got Anthony Brown, who was a transfer from Boston College. And when he left Oregon, he came to Miami. He got Tyler Van Dyke and Ja'Cory Brown, and he wasn't able to develop neither one of those guys. Tyler Van Dyke actually got worse under Mario Cristobal. And the big thing about Mario is that he's an elite recruiter. He can't assemble a roster that's good enough to win it all, but he isn't good enough to coach it to its full capability. Elite recruiter, poor game day coach is what's often said about Mario Cristobal. And when you lose Cam Ward, you're going to have to win games without somebody bailing you out, because Cam Ward has bailed out Miami a couple of times this season, against Virginia Tech, against Cal. I don't know just how good of a coach Mario Cristobal is because of how good Cam Ward has been. Now, you can say, well, JT, didn't he hire Shannon Dawson? Isn't Shannon Dawson doing a really good job with Cam Ward? You got to give him credit for that. I do give him a little bit of credit for that. But at the same time, though, I saw Ed Orgeron win a national championship with Joe Burrow and all these great coaches he assembled on that staff, along with all of the talented players he had. And then right after everybody walked out the door the following season, LSU imploded and he eventually got fired. Now, I'm not saying that Mario Cristobal is as bad as what Ed Orgeron is, but everywhere he's been, he has struggled to sustain success. It's like a program would have a great season, they will peak, and then they will slowly start to decline under him. And that year that Oregon won the Pac-12, they went 12-2, they went to the Rose Bowl. They never had a season as good with Mario being the head man. And that's why I'm so skeptical about Mario Cristobal as the head coach of Miami, because we've been in similar situations like this when we get a head coach who has some success after 1 or 2 years, and year 3 he has that big season, and then right after, things kind of crumble. And we've seen this happen with Mark Richt at Miami. Year 1, you beat West Virginia in that bowl game, and then year 2, you end up being a 10-win team. You almost make it to the college football playoffs. You lose to Clemson in blowout fashion, the ACC championship game. And at that point, you would think that Miami was heading in the right direction under Mark Richt. But right after that, things soonly went left, and he had to step down. And I could see the same thing happening to Mario Cristobal, just because history has showed us that this is not a head coach that knows how to sustain success. He's always recruited well at Oregon. Even though he has a more easier time recruiting because he's right smack dab in the most talented area in all of America to get high school recruits, that being South Florida, there's no guarantee that he's going to be able to develop every single person he recruits out of these top 5 classes and helps them reach their potential. And there's no guarantee that Miami, in spite of how well they recruit, they always want to play up to the level of talent that they have. Because when you're in the shootout with Duke, that concerns me. You should be blowing out Duke. You should be blowing out Cal. You should be blowing out Virginia Tech. I know it's college football, and you tend to have those games that are a little bit closer than expected, and because of the transfer portal and NIL, it kind of has closed the gap in talent between Miami and a lot of other schools who may not recruit as well as the U. But it's still, Duke wasn't that impressive against Florida State. As a matter of fact, nearly all their points in that game came because of turnovers. So for Miami to be in a dogfight with Cal, Virginia Tech, and Duke being double-digit point favorites really concerns me about the future of this program under Mario Cristobal, because if you take Cam Ward off this team, how many losses would Miami have right now? I get that having a great quarterback is everything, but when you have a great coach with a great quarterback, you get great results. And I don't see a Miami team that looks like a national championship contender. They should be, with how good this team is, how well they've recruited, how well they've used the portal under Mario. But I just see this team winning the ACC, winning the playoff game, and then there'll probably be a second-round exit. Because Mario Cristobal is not that good of a game day coach. And this game against Duke, yeah, you put 50 on them and you still cover the spread. This should have been a blowout. Duke is not a good team. Their quarterback had the best game of the season against this secondary. Why is that happening? Malik Murphy wasn't looking this good against Florida State, and they're a way worse team than what Miami is. I'm not trying to sound like a party pooper. I'm not trying to be a Miami hater, because y'all know I love this team with all of my heart, but I don't think it's wrong to be a little bit skeptical about Mario Cristobal as the head coach of this program once Cam Ward leaves, because you don't have a generational quarterback to bail you out when you dig yourself into a hole. And as easy as it is to say he can just pay for the next best quarterback in the portal, there's no guarantee that that guy is going to be as good as what Cam Ward is. How often can you find a quarterback in the portal that turns into being a top 2, top 3 pick in the NFL draft? Really uncommon. So I got my skepticisms or my concerns and worries about Mario. I still believe he'll be a decent coach. I don't think he'll fizzle out and be like a 7-8 win coach, but I can see Miami being a 9-10 win team after this season and not really being able to sustain the hype that they have garnered from this season based off how well they've looked. Miami football is finally back, but I'm not going to say that it's mainly because of Mario Cristobal. It's mainly because of how much of a sensation Cam Ward has been. And when you take a player of his caliber off this team, it makes you have to look at everybody differently. Because when you have a guy as good as what Cam Ward is, it makes the coaches that's calling the plays look better than what they actually are. And when you're escaping close losses against Cal and Virginia Tech. Nobody's criticizing Mario Cristobal because you won those games. So win is a win. But, if you lose those games, then people start, chomping at the bit. A win's a win, not complaining about it. But from a big picture standpoint, Mario Cristobal, man, he isn't really silencing me in my skepticisms about him, man, because Cam Ward just continues to make great plays to bail this team out and bail him out. I'm wondering how good Emory Williams is going to be. I wonder how good the recruits that he's getting at quarterback out of high school are going to be, because he hasn't shown the history of being able to develop quarterbacks. As a matter of fact, people blame Mario Cristobal and the scheme that he was running on offense for holding back Justin Herbert. That's why he looks better in the NFL than what he ever did at Oregon.